This is a walkthrough for the Edexcel Maths Paper 3 from November 2024. So this is a calculator paper. Write down the value of 7 in the number 3,721. So it's in the hundreds, it's worth 700. Work out 1/6 of 96. So if you work out 1/6, you're splitting it into 6 parts. So 96 divided by 6. Again, using your calculator, 16. Write down 2 factors of 16. So you've got some options here, but it's numbers that divide exactly into 16. You can have 1/16, 2, 8, or 4. Any two of those numbers. Question 4, write the following numbers in order. Start with the lowest number. So -7 is the smallest, -3, 0, 4, 6. Find the value of the square root of 2.25. Again, use your calculator. Square root of 2.5 is equal to 1.5. 6a, solve x plus x plus x plus x is equal to 20. Well, let's simplify first. Let's collect our x's together. Gives us 4x is equal to 20. Divide both sides by 4 because that is the opposite of timesing by 4. Gives you 1x is equal to 5. So we need to solve y plus 7 equals 24. What's the value of y? Well, let's take 7 off both sides. Take 7 off the left-hand side, we're left with y. Take 7 off the right-hand side, you're left with 17. So y is 17. This line here means divide by 2. Opposite of divide by 2, or the reverse operation is times by 2. We need to times both sides by 2. We get 8 on the right-hand side, w on the left-hand side, so w is equal to 8. Here's a quadrilateral. Write down the special name for this quadrilateral. Well, it's got one set of parallel sides, so it is a trapezium. On the grid below, draw a right angle triangle. So a right angle triangle needs 2 sides that are perpendicular. Doesn't matter how big it is, as long as you have a right angle somewhere. 8. Nina orders some items from a DIY shop. Packs of screws, 2 tins of paint at £24.95 each, so 2 times £24.95. Again, use your calculator. It's a calculator paper. Gives us £49.90. We need to work out the quantity of the wooden planks. So if each costs £7.75 and it's a total of £232.50, we need to do £232.50 divided by £7.75, which gives us 30. And the total cost, we need to add together these items, the 3 items and the delivery charge. Again, use your calculator, add them all together. And we get an answer of £417.31. At the beginning of January, Jeff had £892.48 in his bank account. During January, Jeff had £4.47 interest added to his account, paid £240 into his account, spent £365.50 from his account. How much money did Jeff have in his account at the end of July? So he had this much in his bank account. £4.47 was added in interest and £240 he paid in. So that total is £1,136.95. He spent £365.50. So we need to take this off. Which gives us £771.45. That's the amount of money he had in his account at the end of January. Question 9. There are 200 people at a party. 2/5 of the people are children, the rest adults. 35% of the children are vegetarian. 45% of the adults are vegetarian. How many people are not vegetarian? So let's work out how many children we've got. Let's deal with the children first of all. 2/5 of 200. Let's get 1/5 first by dividing by 5. So 1/5 is 40. So to get 2/5, we just need to double 40 to get 80. So we've got 80 children. So to work out the adults, 200 minus 80, which is 120. 120 adults. 35% of the children are vegetarian. So we need to work out 35% of 80. Easiest way to do that is convert the percent into a decimal by dividing by 100 and timesing it by 80. 28. 45% of the adults are vegetarian. Convert to a decimal, times by 120, 54. So the total amount of people that are not vegetarian. So vegetarian, let's add the 28 and the 54, which gives us 82. So not vegetarian, 200 minus 82, 118. Question 10. Here is part of a train timetable between Horwich and Manchester. How long should the 746 from Horwich take to get to Salford? So here we've got Salford. So how long is between 746 and 8:05? Well, we've got 4 minutes to take us to 50 minutes and another 10 to take us to 8 o'clock. Got to 8 o'clock, so we need another 5 minutes, so it is 19 minutes in total. Barney is a job interview in Manchester. Barney takes 6 minutes to walk from his home to the station in Lostock. He will take 8 minutes to walk from the station in Manchester to his interview. Barney needs to be at the interview no later than 9 o'clock. What is the latest time Barney can leave his house and be on time for the interview? Okay, so if he gets there at, let's have a look, 9:15 will be way too late. Looking at the Manchester times, 8:45 would be fine because it takes him 8 minutes to walk there. So 8 minutes would take us to 8:53, so that'd be okay. So he would be leaving Lostock at 8:17, but it takes 6 minutes to get to walk from his home to the station. 8:17 take away 6 minutes is 8:11. The time of Barney's interview is changed. Now he has to be at the interview no later than 9:15. What effect does the change of time have on the latest time Barney can leave his house? So if he needed to be at his interview no later than 9:15, well, there's a train that gets in for 9:15, but it takes him 8 minutes to walk to the station, so he would be too late. He would have to get this same train at 8:17. So what effect? No effect. Question 11. Use your graph to change between miles and kilometres. Change 10 miles into kilometres. So miles is on the left-hand side, the y-axis. If I read across from 10, just be careful with the scale here. So it's 2 little boxes on from 15. So 10 boxes to 5. 5 divided by 10. You could use your calculator if you want. 5 divided by 10 is a half, so it's going up in half. So 15, 15 and a half, 16. The answer is 16 kilometres. Rob drives 17 miles from Bridlington to Scarborough. He then drives 50 kilometres from Scarborough to Staithes. What's the total distance Rob drives? Give your answer in miles. 17 is already in miles, so we can keep that. So we need to convert 50 kilometres into miles. 50 kilometres is not on the scale at the bottom. So I'm going to work out how many miles are in 10 kilometres. It seems like a nice number. You may have chosen to do something else. So can we just to find the scale here? Can you see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those boxes in between 0 and 5. 5 divided by 4 is 1.25. So each of these boxes represents 1.25. So 10 kilometres is 6.25 miles. We want 50 kilometres. So 50 times 5, 10 times 5 is 50 kilometres. We need to multiply this right hand side by 5. 6.25 times 5 is 31.25 miles. Let's add these together. 48.25. The shop sells oranges and apples. There are 6 apples in each pack of apples. There are 7 oranges in each bag of oranges. The shop sells X packs of apples and Y bags of oranges. Write an expression in terms of X and Y as the total number of apples and oranges the shop sells. Okay, so if we had 1 pack of apples, you'd have 6 apples. How many apples would you have in 3 packs? Well, 3 times 6 is 18. How many apples would you have in 5 packs? Well, 5 times 6 is 30. What we are always doing is multiplying 6 by the number of packets. So in X packs, you'd have 6X. Similarly, for the oranges, you'd have 7Y. So in total, you'd add them together, because if you had the total amount of apples and add the total amount of oranges, you would just add them together. That is an expression because it's got no equals in. So that is your final answer. Question 13. The diagram shows a crate and a box. The crate is 3 metres by 1 metre by 1.5 metres. Hopefully you've noticed the units are inconsistent, got different units, which may cause an issue. The crate is completely filled with boxes. Each box is 20 by 10 by 75. Work out the number of crates. Right, so first of all, let's convert. I want to get everything into centimetres. 1 metre is 100 centimetres. So 3 metres is 300 centimetres. 1 metre, 100 centimetres. And 1.5 times it by 100, 150 centimetres. So in this base here, along the bottom, how many 20s fit into 300? Let's have a look. 300 divided by 20 is 15. So you'd have 15 boxes along the bottom. Okay. So you've got 15 in each row, you might think. Well, how many rows can I fit in that bottom layer? So you've got 100 centimetres and each is 10 centimetres. So 100 divided by 10 is 10. So you'd have 15 boxes by 10 boxes on the bottom layer, which will give you 150 boxes. How many layers could we fit inside this crate? We've got 150 centimetres and each box has a height of 75 centimetres. So 150 divided by 75 is 2. So 150 boxes times 2, 300 boxes in total. Question 14. Harry works in a shop from Monday to Friday. His basic rate of pay is £8 per hour. On Saturday and Sunday, Harry's rate of pay is 1.5 times his basic rate of pay. The table shows the number of hours Harry worked each day last week. Work out Harry's total pay. So from Monday to Friday, we've got 6, 12, 18, 24, 30 hours. So 30 times 8, you get £8 an hour, is £240. On Saturday and Sunday, it's 1.5 times his basic rate of pay. 4 plus 3 is 7. So we need 7 times, okay, well, what's 8 times 1.5 first of all? 1.5 is the same as 1.5. 8 times 1.5 is 12. So he's earning £12 an hour at the weekend. Seven times 12 is 84. And just add those amounts together. 240 add 84 gives us 324. Question 15. The table gives information about the ages of the 41 children in Blackrod Football Club. Work out the mean age. Okay, so we've got 6 people aged 8 in total. That gives us 48. All those 6 people would add up to an age of 48. 9 times 7, 63. 10 times 15, 150. 11 times 11, 121. 12 times 2, 24. Add those amounts together. 406. We need to divide it by the amount of people, so we could add up the frequency, or we are actually told it's 41, so we'll add up to 41. And then we need to round our answer to 1 decimal place, so 9.9 is the mean age. Robin is working out the modal age of the children in Blackrod Football Club. He says the highest frequency is 15, so the modal age is 15. Is Robin's answer correct? Well, it is the age with the highest frequency. All those 15 people are age 10, so the modal age is 10. So no, 15 isn't the age. It is the amount of children. Question 16a. Write 126 as a product of its prime factors. So I know 2, we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to give 126. I know that 2 is a factor, so if I divide it by 2, I get 63. Any of these prime, 2's prime, so I'm going to circle it. 63, I know, is in the 9 times table. 63 divided by 9 is 7, so 9 times 7. 7 is prime, I'm going to circle it. 9 isn't prime, because 9 is made from 3 times 3. They're both prime, circle it. So write 126 as the product of its prime factors. Here we have all the prime factors of 126. Product of them means we'll multiply them together. So 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. Find the HCF, highest common factor of 126 and 210. Now, there's a way of doing this using prime factors. but I'm going to just consider the factors. So the factors of 126, we know are 2 and 63, because they both divide into 126. Does 3? Let's check on my calculator. Yes, it does. 3 and 42. Does 4? I'm going to divide it on my calculator. No, I get just a decimal point. 5 doesn't. 6 does. If I divide 126 by 6 on my calculator, I get 6 and 21. 7? Yeah, 7 does as well. 8? No. 9? Yeah. 10? Nope. 11? Nope. 12? No. 13? No. 14? Got 14, so I can stop there. Right, so all I need to do now is see which of these numbers divide into 210 to find the highest common factor. So let's divide 210 by these numbers, by the factors of 126. I'm going to start with 63. See if it divides on my calculator. Well, it does, but you get a decimal point, so 63 is not a factor. So it's not that one. Let's try with 42. 210 divided by 42 is 5. So that is a factor of both. So it must be the highest common factor, 42. Question 17. The table shows information about the times in minutes 100 people took to complete a race. On the grid, draw a frequency polygon to show the information. So for a frequency polygon, you need the midpoints. So I'm going to put here. So 130, I will put a cross against 12. So 130 and 10, 11, 12, let's put a cross. So 150 against 28. 170 against 30. 190 against 22. And 210 against 8. Okay, and then I just join up my points with straight lines. And here is my frequency polygon. Question 18a, write 3.402 times 10 to the power 5 as an ordinary number. So we just need to multiply it by 10 5 times. You could do that on your calculator, or you could think, well, the number moved 3 places to the left here. So 1, 2, 3. We'd have 2 10s left, so it would be 340,200. Right, 0.8026 in standard form. So 8.026, because the rules of standard form, the first number has to be between 1 and 10, times 10 to the power -1, because you'd have to divide 8.026 by 10 once to get this number. Use ruler and compasses to construct the bisector of angle ABC. You must show your construction lines. Well, it's quite difficult to show this. I'm going to have to explain. So you'd put your compass here. You'd open your compass out just somewhere along this line. Doesn't really matter where it is. And you draw an arc here and an arc here. So your compass point goes there. And you draw these arcs with your compass. Do not change the width of your compass now. You then would put your compass point here and draw another arc, which should be about there, and then go to this point here and draw another arc, which would be about here, and then you join that up, and there's your perpendicular bisector. Question. Dan is playing cards. The probability he will win a game is 0.3. Dan plays 2 games of cards, complete the probability tree diagram. So each branch adds up to 1. 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7. On this branch, same, win 0.3, does not win 0.7, win 0.3, does not win 0.7. Work out the probability that Dan does not win either game. So we want does not win, does not win. So because it's does not win and does not win, we multiply the probabilities. You can use a calculator if you would like. Answer is 0.49. Robin buys a total of 240 pens and pencils, where number of pens to number of pencils is 3 to 5. I'm just going to work out how many pens and how many pencils he has. So the ratio is 3 to 5. We've got 3 parts to 5 parts. How many parts do we have altogether? We have 8. 240 divided by 8 is equal to 30. So each box here represents 30. So 30 times 3 is 90. And 30 times 5, 150. So he's got 90 pens, 150 pencils. Robin pays 9p for each pen. So 90 times 9 is 810 pence. That's how much he pays for all his pens. She sells each pen for 11p. I'll come back to that in a minute. Robin pays 6 pence for each pencil. 150 times 6 is 900 pence. So she pays 900 pence for all her pencils. Okay, she sells each pen for 11 pence. 90 times 11 is 990 pence. And each pencil she sells for 10p. So 1,500 pence. So she's taken in 990 pence, but she paid 810 pence. So to work out percentage profit, that's really percentage increase. For percentage increase and decrease, the formula is difference divided by original times 100. Or you might want to see it as profit over original times 100. So what's the difference? How much money has she actually made? Well, for a pens, it is 180 pence. And for pencils, £600 pence. So let's add those together. So she's made a profit of 780 pence. That's the difference, 780. What's the original? 810 plus 90. Sorry, 900, which is 1,110, 1,710. So to get the percentage profit, we need 780 divided by 1,710 times 100, which gives us 45.6% profit to 1 decimal place. Question 22. Stem and leaf shows the test scores of 23 students from school A. So we've got a key here. 3, 0 represents 30. So this is 30. This, for example, is 42. 23 students from school B did the same test. Their median score was 56. The range of their scores was 47. Compare the distribution of test scores of the students from school A with the distribution of test scores of the students from school B. So we need the median for A. So the median, we need the middle number. We're already ordered from smallest to largest, so I'm going to go through till I find the middle number. I'm going to do 3 on each end. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1. 1, 1 to the left here. So that 7 is with the 5, so it's 57. So what can we say for the median? The median score is higher for school A. Let's get the range. The range is the biggest minus the smallest. So the biggest number here is 79. And the smallest is 30, which gives you 49. So what can we say about the range? So the range is bigger for school A. Yana used her calculator to find the value of a number t. The answer in a calculator began 10.2. Complete the error interval. So what's the smallest number that could have been on a calculator? It's 10.2, right? Even if on a calculator, anything you put extra there would make the number bigger. So 10.2 is the smallest. What's the biggest? Right, well, can you see here? So t can be bigger than or equal to 10.2. That's fine, it can be equal to that. This would kind of be the biggest, but because it says less than, I'm going to write 10.3 here because that shows it can't be equal to 10.3. Question 24. ABC is a right angled triangle. So when you see right angled triangle, you should be thinking Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA. We're finding the length AB, so I'm going to put an X there. Got an angle, so it's SOHCAHTOA. Don't need to label AC, it's got nothing on it. Opposite, adjacent, SAW, it's not SAW, CA, it's not CA, TOA, it is TOA, O and A. So you might use the formula or you might learn how to use it with one of these triangles. Tan angle O over A. Opposite X goes at the top. Adjacent 7.6 goes at the bottom right. Tan angle, so tan 62. The unknowns at the top, we times tan 62. You need to you finish your bracket off here on your calculator. Times 7.6. Gives us an answer of 14.3 to 1 decimal place. It's actually 14.293, but rounds to 14.3 because of that 9. Question 25A, simplify. So when we multiply, let's have a look. 2 times 7 is 14. We multiply powers, x cubed times x squared. You add your powers together, so x to the power 5. Y is the same as y to the power 1, so y to the power 5 times y to the power 1. We add our powers, y to the power 6. Simplify. So when it's a power to a power, you multiply. 2 times -3 is -6. Question 26. Peter invests £4,500 in a savings account for 3 years. He gets 1.8% per year compound interest. Work out the total amount of interest Peter gets. Right, so we just want the total amount of interest. So compound interest is the amount times the multiplier. We need to add 100% onto this value. And we need to change to a decimal. So it's 101.8%. As a decimal is 1.018 to the power 3. £4,747.40. But that's the total amount of money, so we need to minus the actual amount he put in, which gives us 247 £1.40 is the amount of interest that he got. Okay, next question. I think this is the last one. Line L is drawn on the grid. Find the equation of the line. So y equals mx plus c. M is the gradient, c is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is 3. M is the gradient. So we need to draw a triangle under our line. It's going down, so it's negative gradient. Difference in y divided by difference in x. 2 divided by 1 is 2. But we know it's a minus because it's sloping downhill. So the gradient is negative 2. So the equation of the line is y equals negative 2x plus 3.